Welcome to today's deep dive. We're going to be looking at some pretty fascinating ideas about the future.
Yeah,
Specifically, how artificial intelligence could totally revolutionize the economy and,
right.
by extension, your life.
It's a big one, this one. It's not just about cool new gadgets or faster internet this time.
Right.
Sam Altman, in his essay, Moore's Law for Everything,
Yeah.
argues that AI is poised to create a societal shift as big as like the agricultural revolution
Wow.
or the industrial revolution.
Okay, I get that AI is a hot topic these days.
Sure.
But why does Altman think that this is such a game changer? I mean, we've seen big technological leaps before.
Yeah.
What makes AI different?
The key difference is AI's ability to actually learn and perform tasks
Okay.
that were once considered like uniquely human.
Uh-huh.
Like if you think about things like reading complex legal documents or giving medical diagnoses,
Yeah.
these are skills that require years of training for humans, but AI is catching up fast.
So it's not just automating repetitive tasks anymore.
No.
He's suggesting that AI could be handling highly skilled jobs
Yes.
within the next few years.
Absolutely. And that has huge implications for how we create wealth.
Wow.
Imagine a future where robots can build houses
Okay.
using locally sourced materials and solar power.
Okay.
The cost of construction basically comes down to like the cost of just renting the robots,
Wow.
which could make housing significantly more affordable.
That's a pretty crazy image, robots building houses powered by the sun.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about AI taking over skilled jobs,
Yeah.
what happens to all the people who are currently doing those jobs?
Right.
I mean, does everyone benefit from this AI revolution, or do some people get left behind?
That is the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
And Altman doesn't shy away from it.
Okay.
He actually proposes some radical ideas to make sure that that wealth generated by AI is distributed fairly. But before we get into that,
Okay.
let's unpack this concept of Moore's Law for everything.
Okay, I've heard of Moore's Law in the context of computers, but I'm not sure I totally understand it.
Okay.
Can you give me like a quick rundown?
Think about it this way. Remember when computers used to be bulky and expensive?
Yeah.
And not very powerful?
Yeah.
Moore's Law basically states that computing power doubles roughly every 2 years,
Wow.
while the cost is cut in half.
Oh.
So what used to cost a fortune and take up an entire room
Right.
is now like a tiny chip in your smartphone.
Yeah.
Altman's suggesting that AI could bring that same kind of exponential cost reduction
Wow.
to pretty much everything: housing, education, healthcare, even food.
So instead of just our electronics getting cheaper and more powerful,
Right.
we could see the cost of living just plummets across the board.
Yeah, potentially.
That sounds amazing, but why hasn't that happened already? Things like housing and healthcare seem to be getting more expensive, not less.
You're right. There's a catch.
Okay.
The reason those things haven't gotten cheaper is because the biggest cost factor is human labor.
Oh.
We've automated some things,
Yeah.
but many essential services still rely heavily on human workers.
Okay.
Altman argues that AI can break this pattern
Okay.
by taking over those labor-intensive tasks and in a lot of cases doing them even better than humans can.
We've already talked about like the robot construction workers, but
Yeah.
what are some other examples? How could AI potentially drive down costs in like healthcare
Yeah.
or education?
Imagine AI doctors
Okay.
that can diagnose diseases with incredible accuracy, using massive data sets that no human doctor could ever process.
Wow.
Or think about AI tutors
Okay.
that can personalize learning for every student,
Yeah.
adapting to their needs and their pace.
It sounds like we're stepping into like a sci-fi movie here.
Yeah.
But if all of this is coming, how do we make sure that everybody benefits?
Right.
I mean, even if things become super cheap, what good is it if only a small percentage of people can
Right.
afford them?
Yeah.
This is where Altman's idea for the American Equity Fund comes in, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Altman acknowledges that AI has the potential to create huge amounts of wealth,
Yeah.
but also recognizes the risk that that wealth could be concentrated in the hands of just a few.
Right.
He thinks we need a system to make sure that the benefits of AI are shared widely.
Okay.
And that's where his proposal for the American Equity Fund
Yeah.
is really interesting.
Okay.
Okay, let's dive into this American Equity Fund.
Okay.
It sounds like a pretty radical idea.
Yeah.
How would it actually work?
So at its core, the American Equity Fund is a system for taxing companies and land.
Okay.
These are two assets that Altman believes will hold the most value in an AI-driven future.
Okay.
And then distributing that wealth directly to citizens.
Taxing companies and land.
Yeah.
It sounds like a pretty big shift from our current system.
Yeah.
What kind of tax rates are we talking about here?
Altman proposes a 2.5% annual tax on the market value of companies. Okay.
Above a certain valuation, and a 2.5% tax on the value of all privately held land.
2.5% might not sound like a lot, but when you're talking about these massive companies and vast amounts of land, that could add up to a huge amount of money.
Oh, yeah.
But here's what I don't get. How does taxing companies and land actually help everyday people?
Right.
Does the government just collect all this money and then decide how to spend it?
That's where it gets interesting.
Okay.
The idea isn't for the government to, hoard this money.
Okay.
Instead, the revenue generated by these taxes would be distributed directly to every adult citizen.
Okay.
In the form of both cash and company shares.
Wait, so you're saying that every adult would get a yearly check?
Yeah.
And become a shareholder in major companies?
Exactly.
That's a pretty bold vision.
Yeah.
What kind of impact does Altman think this would have?
He argues that this kind of direct wealth distribution could be a game changer in terms of reducing poverty and inequality. Imagine a world where everyone has a basic income.
Yeah.
And a stake in the companies that are driving the economy.
Yeah.
It could give people more financial security and freedom to pursue their goals.
Okay. I'm starting to see how this could be transformative.
Yeah.
But let's play devil's advocate for a second.
Okay, sure.
What about the potential downsides? Won't companies just try to avoid this tax by moving their operations overseas?
That's a valid concern. And Altman addresses it directly.
Okay.
He proposes a simple test based on the percentage of a company's revenue that comes from the U.S.
Okay.
If a company makes a significant portion of its revenue from American consumers, they would be subject to the tax, regardless of where their headquarters are.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be fair for companies to profit from the American market without contributing to this system.
Exactly.
But even if we can prevent companies from, dodging the tax, wouldn't this discourage them from investing and growing their businesses?
It's a legitimate concern.
Yeah.
And Altman emphasizes the importance of carefully, calibrating the tax rate.
Okay.
He suggests it should be significantly lower than the average growth rate of companies.
Okay.
So that it doesn't stifle innovation or discourage investment.
So it's all about finding that sweet spot, generating enough revenue for the American Equity Fund.
Yes.
Without hindering economic growth.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But what about the logistics of all of this?
Yeah.
How would the government even go about assessing the value of all that land? It seems like a logistical nightmare.
It definitely wouldn't be easy.
Yeah.
But Altman suggests a couple of possibilities.
Okay.
One option is to create this powerful corps of federal assessors.
Okay.
Another, maybe more practical approach is to actually let local governments continue assessing land values as they already do for property taxes.
Okay.
But he proposes a system of checks and balances to ensure fairness and accuracy.
Okay.
If a local government's assessment is significantly off based on actual sales data, all properties in that jurisdiction would be reassessed.
Okay. That system of checks and balances is a clever way to keep things accountable.
Yeah.
But here's another potential issue that comes to mind.
Okay.
Wouldn't people just borrow against their future distributions from the American Equity Fund?
Yeah.
Imagine someone gets their first check and then immediately runs up debt because they know more money is coming in.
You're thinking like a true deep diver. It's a potential pitfall that Altman anticipates to prevent people from, mortgaging their future.
Okay.
And to ensure that they actually benefit from this wealth redistribution over time.
Okay.
He proposes making such transactions legally unenforceable.
That's a smart safeguard.
Yeah.
It's like saying, look, this money is meant to improve your life in the long run. So we're going to make it a little harder for you to make short-sighted decisions.
Exactly.
I'm starting to see how all the pieces of this puzzle fit together.
Yeah.
But let's be real. How realistic is it to actually implement something this radical?
Right.
It seems like it would require a massive political shift.
Yeah.
You're right. It's a bold proposal, and it would definitely require some major changes in how we think about, the role of government and the economy. But Altman seems to believe that we're at like a unique moment in history, maybe even comparable to the Great Depression, where people are more open to radical solutions.
He argues that we need a movement that's both pro-business and pro-people. One that recognizes the incredible potential of AI to create wealth, while also making sure that wealth is shared in a way that benefits everyone.
It's like finding that balance between encouraging innovation and making sure that no one gets left behind. I can see how that message could resonate with a lot of people. But even if there is public support, how do we actually get the ball rolling?
We can't just flip a switch and completely overhaul the economic system overnight.
Altman acknowledges that a gradual approach is key. He suggests starting with a smaller tax rate and then gradually increasing it to that full 2.5% as the economy grows and adapts to this new system.
So it's like easing into the pool instead of doing a cannonball.
Exactly.
It's a slow burn that allows the system to adapt as AI becomes more integrated into our lives and the economy. Speaking of which, one of the things that really struck me about Altman's essay is his conviction that this AI revolution is unstoppable. It's not a question of if it will happen, but how it will unfold.
And that's what makes this conversation so important. We're not just speculating about some far-off future. We're talking about changes that are already starting to happen and that will only accelerate in the coming years. The question is, will we be passive bystanders? Or will we actually try to shape this future to create a world that we want to live in?
So it's like we're at a fork in the road. We can either just ride the wave of AI and hope for the best, or we can try to steer it in a direction that benefits everyone. But how do we actually do that? Where do we even begin?
Altman argues that one of the most important steps is to create a new social contract. One that recognizes that we all have a stake in the success of the economy. And that everybody deserves to share in the wealth generated by AI.
That's where the American Equity Fund comes in, right?
Exactly.
By giving every citizen ownership in both land and companies, it creates a system where everyone benefits from economic growth.
It's about shifting our mindset from a zero-sum game, where some people win and others lose, to a system where everyone have the opportunity to thrive. And it's not just about the financial benefits. Altman believes that this kind of economic empowerment could lead to a surge in creativity and entrepreneurship.
It's like that old saying, a rising tide lifts all boats.
Exactly.
If people's basic needs are met and they have a financial cushion, they're more likely to take risks, to pursue their passions, and contribute to society in meaningful ways.
Absolutely.
But even with all these potential benefits, there are bound to be challenges and unforeseen consequences. I mean, no system is perfect.
Of course. There are valid concerns about the potential for government overreach. The complexity of implementing such a system. The possibility of unintended consequences. We shouldn't shy away from those conversations. It's crucial to be thoughtful and critical as we navigate this new landscape.
I think that's a key takeaway from all of this. The future is going to be shaped by AI one way or another, but the outcome isn't predetermined. It depends on the choices that we make today. So as we wrap up our deep dive into the potential impacts of AI, I want to leave you with a final thought-provoking question. What role do you want to play in shaping this future?
Will you be a passive observer?
Or
will you actively participate in creating the world that you want to see?
It's a big question.
The future's in our hands. Let's make it count.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time.